Pirates and Krakens, Sirens and Mermaids. You are now tuned in to the Disneyholics Show.
Hello and welcome to the Disneyholics Show. That's Mike TV.
And that's Jen Diz.
Join us today as we embark on an adventure at Grimm's Hollow, the Pirate's Abyss, featuring a special guest on board. After that, we'll journey through a Halloween haunt of our very own. Oh my goodness, we have a special guest on the show today. Halloween time is so fun, and we are going to talk about another amazing haunted experience here in the Bay Area. So we want to introduce Stuart to the show. Stuart, he's a haunter, he's a tiki bar builder, and of course, he's a Disney-holic. Welcome to the show, Stuart.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Very exciting. So, Grimm's Hollow is one of your lovely creations, and it's set up just for Halloween season, right?
hmm
So I wanted to start off by asking you, what is your history with building haunts? How long have you been doing this? What got you into it? Tell us about that side of things.
Well, I'm gonna really show my age here. I started up at the Haunted Woods in 1988 at the Sanborn
Wow.
Skyline Park. Yeah, we did a Haunted Woods show up there. One of my friends, Velma, got myself and a couple other friends of mine. Hey, they're doing a haunted house out. They're doing a haunt out in the middle of the forest, and they're paying people. We're like, oh, we're in our early 20s. Hey, extra money, why not? And
Yeah.
I'd always loved Halloween. I always decorated my house as a kid. Even through my teenage years, my parents put up with me decorating the house and, just doing things. But that was the first time I'd ever seen an actual haunt attraction where we were out in the forest and there were scenes built and there were actors and it was I'd been in musical theater in high school and college as well, so I got bit by the bug then, so I took over as director in 1989. But then the earthquake happened, so my very first
Ooh.
show never got off the ground. We built the show, and then the earthquake happened, and we were up Highway 9 in Saratoga. And what happened was the Highway Patrol actually told us we had to close because the previous year's shows had been so popular that the traffic backed up all the way down Highway 9 into Big Basin Way in Saratoga.
Oh my
And at that
gosh.
time, you guys probably wouldn't remember this, but at the time, the 1989 earthquake closed down Highway 17 going to Santa Cruz. So Highway 9
Wow.
was the only way in and out of Santa Cruz. They said, "Nope, sorry, we can't let you go." So the show I eventually opened in 1990, and we were up there until 93. Then I went on and did Gyro's World of Terror. Was there for 1 year, and then did I worked for the Los Gatos Monte Sereno Police Department in 1995 until 2003, doing the Haunted Forest for them. Then I did a show with my friend Karen Casada called Goblin's Glen in Los Gatos. And then that show closed. And then what happened was I'd started helping at where Grimm's Hollow takes place is at the Easterbrook Discovery School. And probably back in probably must have been 2010, I had seen a newspaper article about how they had their little pumpkin patch for the school, and the parents and kids came out and helped, and it was like a put together, pretty much a home haunter kind of vibe where you just set up a couple little scenes and then they have a pumpkin patch. And so I went down and volunteered and we built a couple scenes for them. And then every year I would go and buy a pumpkin and walk the little trail that the kids put together. Something real
Cute.
nostalgic and real fun.
Yes.
And then in 2015, I was a district manager for Spirit Halloween. And I was
Ooh.
on Halloween. Yeah, and I was Halloween. I was going by there to buy my pumpkin, and they were taking all the decorations down on Halloween morning. And I went, oh, and there was like two ladies there. And I said, "Oh, are you, you're taking your stuff down?" They're like, she turned to me, and I'll never forget the look on her face. She's like, "Are you here to help us?" And I'm like, "No,
Oh.
I wanted to walk through your little pumpkin, buy a pumpkin and walk through your trail." And and she said, "Oh no, we're taking we're so done. We can't take this." And they were really exhausted. And I said, "Do you folks need help?" And because I was between haunts by then, Goblin's Glen had closed. I hadn't really done it. I did a Conover Mystery Ranch down in Hollister, but I said, "Do you folks need help?" And she put me in contact with the school. And we opened in 2016 with the Crimson Quest, which is a Grimm's fairy tale type of show. And then I started getting
Mm.
my all of my friends back together who had done all these haunts with me over the years. My show director, stage director Anita Connor, she was with me. Her husband Kurt was with me. They had been with me since, back in their early 2000s. So that brings us to today. We've been there with COVID years. We've been there for 8 years now doing this.
Wow.
Wow. You mentioned gyros, and that took
Hmm.
me back when you said that. I almost forgot about it, but that was actually the first time I've ever experienced anything like a haunt. And
Oh, okay.
I had moved from Virginia to the Bay Area, and all my cousins lived in the Bay Area, and they took me to that. And I was so scared, and I just thought it was the coolest freaking thing ever. And I think back then you could use whatever IP you wanted, nobody cared. It was a fun time.
Oh, it
Wow,
was,
it took
yeah,
me
we
back.
did.
Yeah.
I spent a year there. I learned a lot. Do you remember which year you went?
It was probably a few years in the early 90s, mid 90s.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because the year I was there, we were actually at Town and Country Village across the street from Valley Fair Mall before Santana Row was put in. So we put up
Mm.
there was a giant tent there, and we did Aliens and Halloween. My friend Ken Franklin put together. They had a show. They had a room called Meet the Cleavers, where you can imagine what that was like. So yeah, well, lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, I definitely remember the big white tent and like the long
Yep.
line you're waiting in, and the scare actors would
Yeah.
sneak up on you in the line. Oh, wow, so fun.
Yeah.
Wow, Stuart, you're like the most Halloween person I know, I think. That's amazing. Um,
Thanks.
so Grimm's Hollow is the name of the experience this year. Can you tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about Grimm's Hollow, what this is like?
Well, this year, Grimm's Hollow had always had a revolving show theme every year. First year was Crimson Quest. We did a Harry Potter theme one year. We did a Shadow Circus theme. We also did um, we've done different things over the years, and then we were starting to realize that, man, it was killing us doing a different thing every year because we had to rebuild stuff. So, how do we reduce our footprint and make it a more intense experience? Because what we were realizing, we started out as only family friendly, because there was no family friendly really in the Bay Area. There's very few. Candlelighters is one in Fremont, but not a lot of family friendly. Most everything is all scare, scare, scare. So we did family friendly, and then but we realized our audience wanted to get scared too. And our actors wanted to scare people. So that's when I decided I said, well, let's split this up. So first hour and a half or so, family friendly. We're not going to do scares. All the lights will be on. It'll be a really magical. I wanted a very Disney-esque experience. And then we closed for half an hour, and then we reopen as a scary hour haunt. And so
Oh.
that allows us to really, we bear the fangs and break out the claws and basically chase people around and scare the crap out of them. So look, we were trying to go for the code yellows, as it were, is what it's known as in the haunt industry when you pee your pants.
That's
So,
hilarious.
Oh my
so,
God.
That's amazing.
yeah, and then we Pirates Abyss came about because last year we had just done what we called the Maze of Madness. We realized by shrinking our footprint down a little bit. So, Jen, what you saw was half of what we used to be. We used to be really spread
Wow.
out. Yeah, we used to be really spread out, but there's a lot of walking between scenes. So it
Mhm.
was like this way we can contain our audience make it a more, because we always Anita and I always wanted to make it an immersive experience.
Yeah.
How do, Dickens Fair, how do we make this
Hmm.
really take the audience somewhere else? So, and that way we were able to make it scarier as well, because then it's more claustrophobic. So that's kind of where we ended up. And my construction manager, David, last year, he said, I want to build a ship. And I'm like, what do you mean you want to build a ship? So I want to build a pirate ship. And we're going to do pirates next year. Yeah, that's our theme for next year. I'm like, okay, well, you had me at pirates. So,
Yeah, right.
yeah. And so he built us this fabulous, massive ship that, you got to see the other night. So, yeah, that's
Yes.
how that ended up.
Yeah, I
Wow.
really loved the mixture. It's like you can almost visit this haunt two times back to back. Like
Mm,
I actually enjoyed the night that we went recently where we got to go through the family friendly version, go back in line, and
sure.
then do it a second time and go through the haunt. And then it's the
Yeah.
scary version. It's like a two for one, as you know, going to a location and getting to have two different experiences at the same place, right? That's like
Yeah, and
super
and
cool.
you know, and it's nothing more than, turning off some of the lights, changing a little bit of the sound effects, but it's the actors that make it. The actors we have at the show are, to a person, everyone is amazing. They are into character, they are into the audience experience, and I believe it really shows by their dedication and the way they perform. I mean, so what you saw that night, family friendly, being nice to the kids, those are the same actors who are going after people wanting to rip their throats out. So yeah, I give all the credit to the actors, man.
Yeah, they're very impressive. A lot
Yeah.
of witty banter and like they're quick with the improv.
Yeah.
They also had a lot of things that, they engaged with us
Hmm.
individually as a group. So they would ask us questions or have us do certain things. Like one time we had
Yeah.
to find a key for someone locked in a prison cell, which may look like something that Disneyholics are familiar with, but
Yeah.
it was very
That's
cool getting
cool.
to be part of the experience too, instead of just running through it screaming your head off, which is also fun. But
Yeah. Yeah.
getting to try this other version was cool. Another thing I'll say is it lasted a long time. I think we were in that family friendly version for at least 20 minutes. That was super
2025.
unique and
Yeah.
that was amazing. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was so cool because usually you run out and you're like, oh man, and it still felt like that, but at least we felt like, okay, we got this whole time of experience and all these memories from this walkthrough, right? It's
Well,
very
and that's
unique.
what we want. I mean, Anita and I, we talk about, is it worth the time for the audience? Is it worth our time and that all this time we're putting into it? We want the audience to see all the hard work. It's not just me, it's not just her. I mean, it's, Kurt, David, all my whole construction crew. We have about 10, 15 people that this year we've have started really gelling a construction crew, and everybody's really into it, and you could see the level of detail we try to put into it. And again, that goes back to I worked at Disney for 10 years, so I know that the the attention, the level of detail that they put into it is something I always aspired to. I always want people to walk out going, God, did I miss something? Or you, like,
Yeah.
you came back again. I'm sure you saw things you totally missed the first time,
Absolutely.
and that's what I want. That's what I want, but therefore you have to have people have to spend time in your immersive environment. I don't try to push them out really quick, because a lot of houses are grinder houses where they're trying to get you through as fast as possible.
Right.
They want to push you
Yeah. I
through.
noticed
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
gotten worse
Because
and
time is money.
worse
Yeah,
over
time is
time.
money. Time is money.
And then you're like, that's it? Okay. It's not. Especially Universal, they just kind of like push you
Oh,
through now. And
yeah,
I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
yeah,
as much as
yeah,
I
And they have
enjoy,
cool production
yeah.
design. I want to see it.
yeah,
And you want to look at it. You want to
Yeah.
stop and see
right.
everything. And
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've
It's
actually been I've
funny.
actually been in haunted houses where the actors will come out and scare me, and I'm looking at something, and they're like, "Okay, keep moving." I'm like, I paid $25 to get in here. I want to look at, I'm looking at this. Someone spent a lot of time on this. I want to
Yes.
appreciate the effort they put into it.
Totally
Yeah.
Exactly.
that. Yep. I feel like Universal, I there's like three things going on at the same time. One is I want to look at the sets because they do have amazing
Mm,
set design.
hmm.
But the rush that you're getting pushed through there, mixed with people scaring the crap out of you the whole time. And then I'm just like, my eyes are wandering trying to check the sets out, and I am almost putting my hands out in front of me so I don't like walk into a wall or something because they're
Sure,
like, go,
yeah.
go, go, keep yelling at you to move. And it's like, it's too much
Stressful.
happening.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not scary. That's just irritating.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
there's
You know?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
totally. So yeah, this family-friendly version as well as the scare version of your haunt do really, especially the family friend, it was like a little longer. So we got to really enjoy the set. So I almost like as much as I want to only recommend scary to everybody, I would also recommend the family-friendly version. It was just really cool to get to see
Thank you.
the actors interact with the scenery too. That was a
Yeah,
big piece
because
of it.
they,
It wasn't
a lot of them are theatrically trained. Some of them come from, they work the Dickens Fair. They've done other haunts with me. And when I'm talking to new actors, new people coming in, I always tell them, if you've done any theater, this is 2.5 hours, 3 hours of improv. You get to
right.
improv it,
Yeah.
Anita will write a script. She's been a godsend. She'll write the script, come up with a story. When you were talking about the interaction with folks, that was all Anita coming up with. How do we, because her and I talked about it, how do we keep the kids from getting too scared? And the way we keep them from getting too scared is they're on a quest. They're looking for something. They're trying to solve
Yes.
something. When we did Harry Potter, there was a whole, they had to piece together a spell that would bring magic back to the wizarding world. And that was all Anita. That was all her story. And the kids they really relished that, and they wanted to solve the spell and bring the magic back and do everything. And
That's so cute.
so that's the way we do it. And yeah, I
That's
give her
fun. The
all the credit.
improv aspect sounds fun because if you are into acting, you can just make your own
Hmm.
character story and then just run with it. That must be
Oh
fun.
yeah, because you're riffing with the audience. You'll get it. Your audience is different every single night.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the two guys who were on the cannons,
Yes.
shooting the fog. Yeah, so those guys are old pros at it. One of the guys, John, he's my best friend. I've known him since I was 4. He was the guy who was on
Oh,
the right, and then Michael Anderson is the other guy. I met him through Gyro, and they're they are their improv skills are unmatched, and they love to play off each other, play off the crowd. But
uh,
that's pretty much everybody at the show too. All the pirates, everybody staffing those scenes, they love to play that the audience energy, the back and forth. That's what really makes the show for everybody.
right.
Wow.
There was a few scenes that really stood out to me. I mean, I can remember all of them probably still, but like
Mm.
the very first scene you come into, it's almost like a little town area with like a
The
bunch of
village,
little
yeah,
shop
yeah,
fronts. And
yeah,
we had a group of five of us, and I think we all were with a separate actor at some point. Like they all like kind of like grabbed one
yep,
of us, like, come look at my maps and like, can you
yes.
tell me what
Ooh.
this looks like? Would you purchase this? Like there's like things to do in this town for all of us. And we're like, oh my God, we're all like doing our own little thing. We get to bring it back together. And that was
Yeah,
super, super cool. And then of course the pirates are all amazing. There was another scene before the cannons, I believe, and there was like three pirates there, and they were
yes,
hilarious. They were cracking
yeah.
us up. We didn't even want to leave. I'm like, I think we have to keep moving at some point, but can we just stay here all night? It was so fun.
And I was following your group and I was listening to them. That was Eric and Thomas and I believe Athena, and they love to. And I was at one point I was going, oh my gosh, how long are they going to keep going? Because once they start riffing, it's yeah, and you guys were into it too. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them to keep moving on. So, but
It
yeah,
was
yeah, all of everybody, their improv skills are off the charts.
yeah, it
Wow.
was really, really fun.
I want to know, since I haven't been able to experience, I actually live in Mexico now. I'm no longer in the Bay.
What?
Yeah, and I almost want to
Oh,
take a
okay.
flight out just to go here. But what is the Grimm's Hollow version of pirates? Is it spooky? Is it scary? Skeletons, humans, treasure? Like, what is it? And is there water
It's
involved?
both.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
so we came up with, I was Anita and I start talking about the next year's show, probably closing night, or actually her and I were already been talking about next year already. Um, we wanted to do when as soon as David said we're going to do pirates, I'm like, okay, so what do we do? how do we make a whole show out of that? And how do we not, make a blatant rip off of Pirates of the Caribbean or there's another show up here called Pirates of Emerson, and that's
Right.
more of an
Yeah.
adult show. And okay, how do we not, steal from them? And then Anita came up with the script idea of, starting in the town, and then the lore starts to take over as where you're on your way, you walking through this town, and you start to realize, oh, it's a pirate town. There's this, that, and then you get to one of the other actors who talks about, going down to Davy Jones' locker, and then we've created this laser tunnel that as you walk through it, all of a sudden you're in the underworld, you're underwater. And
Ooh.
then we have a 360-degree laser that goes across the top of a certain section that you kind of look up and it kind of feels like you're underwater. And then,
Wow.
of
So
course,
cool.
it's all the actors. It's the actors, we've got the sea witches, and we've got sirens, and we've got mermaids, and we've got other pirates, and everything has been shipwrecked and crashed underwater. And it kind of culminates in going to visit the Queen Anne's Revenge, which is the ship, Blackbeard's ship. And David, when he said, "I'm going to build a ship," oh, holy crap, he built a ship. So, and when you look at it, Jen's seen it, so it's like, oh my God, that thing's huge.
Very cool.
And it was funny is that he built it, and he said, "Okay, I built it. You get to decorate it." I went, "Okay, I'm going to decorate this thing." So, um, and then you visit Blackbeard, and then in order to escape to the living world, you've got to make it through what we called the maelstrom, which we wanted to make the most messed up maze with
Ooh.
lights and fog and all kinds of stuff. And so I designed the maze. There's four different paths. One of the paths ends in a dead end. The other three somehow meet up at the exit. There's a lot of walking involved, and and if my actors are feeling persnickety, they'll send you down the wrong way. So all of a sudden, you'll end up back where you started, and you're going, trying to find your way out of this maze. And everybody has been having a really good time with it. And you end up back in the living world after going through all of this. But
Wow.
that was we've already started tossing around ideas for next year. I think we're going to stick with a Pirates theme because it's been so popular. Everyone loves it. Everyone's
Yeah.
been really excited about it.
That's
So
a crowd pleaser. And to see how another
yeah,
artist interprets it, so fun. I imagine you and Anita have so many ideas when you're planning. How do you pick and
yeah.
choose which ones you actually go forward with?
We bounce ideas off each other. To be honest, Anita will say, "This is my script. What do you think?" And usually it's so good that I'm like, "Yeah, no, let's do it." And then I start to envision how we're going to build this. David, my construction manager, and her husband Kurt is also one of the key construction people. We all kind of get together and go, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Well, what should this scene look like? A lot of it we'll all have in our head, and we'll each take different areas. Like the town, Jen, you were talking about, her husband Kurt, he kind of took all the walls that we had and all the pieces, and he just put this town together with some of the construction folks. I built the maelstrom and decorated David's ship, and then Anita will take the jail, the Pirates Cove area where you were talking with all the pirates.
Mhm.
One of the volunteers, Thomas, excuse me, him and Eric, who were the two pirates there, they started doing it, and then I'll step in and kind of sprinkle a little bit. I like to consider myself kind of like, how Walt Disney used to, when people ask Walt what he did, well, do you draw Mickey Mouse? Well, no, I don't. Well, do you do his voice? Well, not anymore. Well, did you draw Disneyland? Well, no, I don't. Well, what do you do, Mr. Disney? And he said, well, I'm kind of like a bee. And I kind of buzz around and kind of sprinkle ideas here and there and kind of, talk to people and try to bring out their ideas as well. So that's kind of how we do it.
That's fun. Have you noticed in this sort of next generation of kids who are joining the team and the
Mm.
construction crew, are there people that are standing out as, okay, they're going to be the next version? They're going to want to do their own thing soon?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. This year we've had more kids come out who have messaged me. We've got this one of the girls, Ivy, just showed up, and and my other friend's daughter, Safina, there's all these kids, Graydon, Devin, all these folks, all these kids that just showed up, and I can just tell them to do something and they'll just go do it. You
That's
know, I don't
awesome.
have to sit there and hold their hand and go, oh, they're not asking me a million questions. I go, make that door creepy for me. You know, for instance, one of the girls, Ivy, she takes some black paint, paints, you saw the cool shapes, Jen, that were painted on some of the doors there
Hmm.
in the maelstrom. And that's a lot of the kids. They'll just go and do it.
That's awesome.
And that's what we need. We need that younger generation to make. 'Cause I'm tired. You know?
Well, you've put in your time for sure anyway. So,
Yeah.
um, I wanted to just go back real quick on the maze at the end. This was
Hmm.
another first for me. I have done mazes and I've done haunted houses, but I've never had
Hmm.
both in one. I thought that was so cool because
Thanks.
we had gone through it for so long already without having this like maze option that it was like almost like disassociate like what's going on, how come I all of a sudden like can't figure out where I'm going, and
Yeah.
we kept
Yeah.
calling it a choose your own adventure because I'm like there's two pathways all of a sudden in this section and now
Yeah.
we have two more, and like what can we do with this, and we started like passing by other groups of people that we hadn't even
Yeah.
seen the whole time. I'm like, where are
Yeah.
these people even coming from? They've just been lost in this maze for 10 minutes. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? And then during the scare part, that's super fun too because they all hide in there. It's like a lot darker
Hmm.
of an area, and so you can go around in circles in there and get spooked out. And eventually, I think maybe they kind of help us out a little bit because we were lost for sure, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
It achieves that feeling, oh, maybe I missed something. Should I have gone the other way? I have to go back and experience this all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do that. They're like, "Oh, I didn't go down that way," and sometimes it'll be like 10 o'clock, and we need to close. I'm like, and I'll try to guide them to the exit, but we try to put cool stuff to look at on every branch of the maze, so it doesn't really bother me if they go back down another path because I want to give them their money's worth. I want them
Yeah.
to feel like they saw as much as they could see.
Right. Well, we had this little girl in line behind us. She was the cutest thing. I was like, I even told the dad afterwards, I was like, good parenting. So she said one of the scare actors came over, the big guy that growls. I'm sure you
Oh
know who I'm
yeah, that's
talking about.
Shannon. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was singing with me, Come With Me, and we'll be in a world of pure imagination. Like we were singing that in his
Ooh,
growly voice while walking
Yeah,
through this haunted
spooky.
house. It was
yeah.
so creepy. And he came over to that little girl and he goes, "Are you scared?" And she's like, "I'm not scared, I'm excited." And I was like, "Yes." And then
Yes.
at the very
Nice,
end of it,
brave.
she walks out and I just hear her go like, "Oh my gosh, I wish it was longer." And we'd been in there for almost half an hour. So I was like, that is
Yeah.
so cool. Like
That's what
those
I
are those
want. That's
kids
the
too, right?
reaction I
Yep.
want.
Exactly. It was amazing. So for us Disneyholics, I did notice there's quite a few little nods to Disney in there.
Mm.
Do you want to share with us some of those? And maybe I missed some too. I'm wondering if I
Well,
did, but
obviously, well, of course, we did the jail scene, and that we built that jail scene because that's a spark. You saw the spark wall, right? When
yes.
during the scary hour. So we always have a version of a dungeon, and then we did the jail scene, and then I had purchased one of those skeleton dogs from Home Depot, and they were like, "Should we?" We're like, "Yeah, why not? We got to get the keys, put in the dog's mouth, and." Um, the Kraken, I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I have a tiki bar, I have a home tiki bar in my backyard. Whenever I'm working on the tiki bar, I always have Pirates of the Caribbean, the movies playing in the background. And the Kraken's one of my favorite, beasties, the cryptids. So that Kraken, when I bought it at Lowe's, I knew I had to put it in somewhere. And then so that's where we had it attacking the ship, wrapping around the skeleton. And then you saw the drinking pirate too, that we didn't have the actual effect with it going down his throat, but we wanted to at least give that little nod,
We
that
still got
little,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
okay.
cool. And people love that to have, if you have just the right amount of Easter egg sprinkled, people feel
Sure.
like you feel satisfied that you caught it. You're like, oh my God, I think they're trying to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And
nice.
Jen, you noticed the bride at the end, right?
Yep. The bride.
Okay, so
Yep.
because we have three versions of her, but our one of our my friends, Michelle, they're from Burning Man. She had these three identical white mannequins, And we're like, what do we do with these things? So Michael, one of the cannon pirates, he did the lighting in them, so they all lit up. So the first one you see is the one that's leaning over in the middle of the maelstrom, like she's drowning. So she's like leaning over the audience. The second one, it looks like she's trying to swim away as you're walking to the exit. And so I wanted to have the bride, kind of like the Haunted Mansion, at the bride at the end. I almost did the hurry back, but I'm like, no, that's a little too on the nose. So we'll just do the Jolly Sailor Bold from Pirates of the Caribbean. So yeah.
No, that was great. That was great.
Nice.
There
Thanks.
was also skeleton with the lightning flashing, pirating the ship, right?
Yes, that was by my friend Brent Ross. He owns a company called DC Props. And
Mm.
you can look them up online. He does like major props for the big haunted house attractions, like
Wow.
yeah, Pirates of Emerson, all these, actually Pirates of Emerson saw him building that and like, hey, I think we're interested in that. But I mean, he does that. That prop is probably going to be $3,000-4,000.
Wow.
The one that you saw on the ship, and he's such a cool guy. He said, hey Stu, do you want me to build you something like that? Because his son Devin is one of my construction guys, and one of the kids who's gonna be the
Wow.
next generation. So, and he's such a great guy. Yeah, DC Props, I totally give him a shout out. If anybody, if you want to look him up online, he sells all kinds of cool Halloween props. But yeah, he made that because he'd always wanted to do it and never really had. He said, I've always wanted to do it, but I never really had anything to put it in, and now I've got some place to put it in. So yeah,
Yeah.
so he ended up building that for us.
That's so cool. That's
Wow.
so
Yeah.
cool. I also like I love this whole I'm kind of like newly obsessed with it and I want to get more into it, but this whole community based around haunts in general, how you were talking about
Okay,
like
sure.
there's this whole
We all know each other. Yeah.
yeah, it's like this whole other community of fandom that I
Yeah.
didn't really know existed, right? And like I guess I should have known because there's usually something in every type of fandom, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
We also there's a local house haunt in San Jose that we ended up talking with them for a long time out in front of their house and they told us about NorCal Haunters website and just like a whole bunch
Yes.
of
Yeah. Aaron Hartman.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cool. There's just like all
Yeah.
this like
Oh,
group
I love that.
Well,
community
it's funny
aspects to it.
because, when I started back in the late 80s, a lot of I called them my kids. They went on to do other hunts. I have friends, Fear Overload in Fremont, that they started out as 18-year-old kids with me back at the Haunted Woods.
Oh, cool.
Another buddy of mine, he had started Conover Mystery Ranch back in the early 2000s. There's people all over the place. Got another friend in Sacramento who does Build Cave, and we just it's like we all kind of know each other. I know people at,
Really
at
nice.
Pirates of Emerson, and new people at Candlelighters all over. Yeah, we all it's a very small world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
awesome.
noticing that. I was like poking around while I was exploring and I like saw that they
Oh,
had like a
Dead Time Dreams too.
barbecue.
Yeah. Oh
What? It was
yeah.
like a hangout. Like this is so cool. I
Yeah.
want to get into this.
And that's like our
Yeah, one of my
favorite thing
buddies.
on this show. We love to explore just fandoms and communities. And this
Okay.
one is so uh, intriguing to me because
Oh,
I love
yeah.
being the person experiencing it, and now I'm realizing
Okay.
behind the scenes, yeah, there's a whole group. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike, you
yeah.
need to be a scare actor at some point. You'd be amazing at it. He's
I
Oh,
always pulling pranks,
it's
Stuart.
fun.
I would love it.
It's fun.
He's a
You don't
prankster and
want
a
to,
half.
you don't know, yeah, that feeling when someone's crawling on the ground, screaming and crying, and you just kind of stop and go, "Are you okay?
And
Yeah.
I
Why
like
are
that
you
there's a
doing this?"
I like having a guaranteed audience. I was the little brother who would wait in the closet for my sister to come out of the bathroom for like an hour. And I'm like, she's taking
You still do
forever. I
that
still do it. I do it
for the
today.
record.
When we go on vacations, I definitely do a pop out. But I love that you have a constant stream of people to scare. That just is like
Oh,
the
yeah.
dream. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a total adrenaline rush. It really
Yeah.
is.
What scares you? Like, is there a specific type of hunt or scene in your life that
Um,
will give you a code yellow or something like that?
You know what? All of my friends know this and make fun of me, but the the abominable snow monster of the north from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer scares the
Oh
shit
yeah.
out of me. I have hated that guy
Wow.
ever since I was a kid. And I see it, on Facebook, I'll see all these cute memes of, oh my gosh, look at the Bumble that Lowe's has, and da da da. And I've got a picture that's a picture of Luke Skywalker who's about to slice him in two. It's a Luke Skywalker and the Bumble Snow Monster. And I'm all, you know what? This is what needs to happen. No, 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 no. That guy's
Wow.
scary.
That's
Yeah.
fair. There's something unsettling about that whole era, even like
Mm.
Gumby. Sometimes I'll look at Gumby scenes and it's creepy. It's like unnerving.
It's
Yeah.
kind of creepy, yeah.
Yeah. And
And
it's
Bert from
they
Sesame Street. Bert from Sesame Street used to scare me too.
those
Oh my
eyebrows.
gosh. I
Yeah.
love this. This is a great question, Mike. I know one of yours is Reagan from The Exorcist,
Exorcism,
right?
Oh,
anything
yeah.
demonic. I grew up
Yeah.
Filipino family. We
Pazuzu.
believe in all of the things.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so that one scare religious stuff really freaks me out. And I think
I
it'll
think that
follow
might be
me home.
mine. I like dark, creepy religious stuff too. That also
Yeah.
creeps me out
Oh,
very much so.
Blair Witch Project. I saw Blair Witch
Yeah.
Project before it was well known that it was like a thing.
Ah,
So when
Yeah.
I got done, I watched it and I'm like, did I just watch a snuff film? Are those
Right?
yeah,
kids
yeah,
dead? Yeah,
totally.
I
yeah,
remember that. And there was like a website, but it was like Web
yep,
1.0, and it seemed real. They were not actors we didn't know. And that whole thing about standing in the corner facing the wall is
yes,
so unsettling to
yes,
I
me.
still think
yeah,
about it all the time. Anytime I see somebody doing that in public or
yeah.
something, like
It's like,
against the wall, I'm
stop
like,
that,
ooh,
stop
Blair
Yeah,
that.
like nope,
Witch.
nope.
Yeah, that was some
Wow.
amazing marketing, but wow. All right. Well, Stuart, let's see. So we have another weekend before Halloween comes.
Yes.
So if any of our listeners wanted to visit Grimm's Hollow, how can they do so?
We're at 4835 Doyle Road in San Jose. It's down the street from Westgate Shopping Center at Easterbrook Discovery School. We'll be open Friday night. We open at 7, and that's family hour from 7 to 8:30. We will close at 8:30, reopen at 9, and run scary hour from 9 to 10. And then Saturday and Sunday, we open at 6:30. Family hour on Saturday will be 6:30 to 8:30, and then scary hour 9 to 10. Sunday will be family hour only. So that'll be 6:30 to 8:30. And then we'll be open again on Halloween, which will be our closing night, we'll open at 7, and we'll do the Friday schedule 7 to 8:30, and then scary hour 9 to 10. And the
Excellent.
patch opens at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Unfortunately, I mean, like Jen, you saw it's run by the Moreland Education Foundation, which is really a bunch of volunteers. So it's not a
Hmm.
big operation. So they don't do electronic tickets. They don't do online reservations. People just kind of show up and buy tickets for the show. Sometimes we sell out. A lot of times we sell out, and we made
Okay, it's good to know.
yeah, Secret San Francisco named us one of the 14 best attractions.
Ooh,
And
nice.
Oh,
yeah, so
congratulations.
yeah. Thanks. And our Yelp reviews are really good too. So that's yeah, I would just come to the school and get tickets. I mean, show up at 5, between 5 and 6. You should be okay.
Okay. And can you buy, because I'm going to recommend everybody that they buy tickets for both the family hour and the scary one because I just think it's worth it. Like, just make a night out
Thank
of it.
you. Thank
Just
you.
hang out there. There's also like booths with like snacks and drinks and stuff to like hang
Yeah.
out and do the
Yeah.
pumpkin patch in the meantime. So, like, go hang out there for the evening. Can you buy both of those tickets as soon as you get
Yes.
there? Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yes, I believe so. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, that would be my recommendation if anybody is going to visit for sure. Uh, okay, so it's at Easterbrook Discovery School in San Jose. And
Mhm.
then if they wanted to find you on social media, how can they find you there?
Our website is www.grimshollow.com. So spelled just like in the logo up here, .com. And then we also have a Facebook page. So we
Excellent.
also have Instagram. So yeah, it's all under Grimm's Hollow. And
Grimm's
it's
Hollow.
not the video game though, because sometimes the video game comes up too.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know
okay.
there was one.
How
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it's an
And for
older
those of
one.
you who are just listening and not watching the YouTube, it's GrimmsHollow on social
Exactly.
and .com. So Excellent, Stuart. Well, thank you so much for having us
Thank
visit your
you.
amazing creation and also joining us on the show to tell us all about it. You have been fantastic, and you are officially Mr. Halloween in my books.
Thanks a lot, Jen.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for coming and
you.
happy Halloween to
All
you.
right.
Yes, happy
All right.
Halloween. Talk
Thanks a
soon.
lot. Happy
Bye,
Halloween to
Stuart.
you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow,
I
now I
Wow.
liked it.
want to go to, I want to get spooked. I want to go to something scary.
Well, now you got to come back to California and visit us next year, maybe, since it's a little short for you to get all the way over
And
here
it
to get to
sounds
Cedar
like they're
Point.
going to do Pirates again, which is interesting
Mm-hmm.
because they can just build on to what they already have. I was actually going to ask Stuart about what is it like destroying everything that you've built, but I was happy to
Oh,
hear that he was going to do Pirates again, so they don't have to do
yeah.
that this year. I always wonder about that.
Recycling.
Even with movie sets, I'm like, oh my gosh, they build these amazing sets, and then somebody needs the studio the next day. It's gone.
Right.
Wow.
Or sometimes you just leave it out in the desert. Do they still do that? They used to
In
do that back in the day,
Tunisia, Star Wars, it's still there. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And the whole Colosseum scene from what was that old movie? Super
Oh,
famous.
Ben-Hur?
Is it Ben-Hur? It's out in the
Like the
desert somewhere.
chariots?
It's
I
like,
think so,
yeah,
yeah. I haven't seen it. I just
crazy.
know it's like long and old.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now I want to go back and I've been twice already, you guys, and I would still go again. It was really fun. Um, So, we have a little bit of time left on the show, Mike. I thought we could maybe do like a short, cute version of the Disneyholics version of our own haunt. And
Ooh.
yeah, let's do it like popcorn style where we kind of pop it back and forth and add to each other's creation as we go through. What do you think?
I'm into it.
Okay. I'm gonna have you start off and you tell
Ooh.
me where you want. Let's talk about logistics for a second. Like, where do we want
Okay.
this?
So this Disneyholics hunt is going to start outside before it goes into the other sets. So you start outside, and it is going to be the Forest of Thorns. It's going to look a lot like Sleeping Beauty's Maleficent vibe. And
Ooh.
think of the cool lighting that we've seen at Oogie Boogie Bash.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little bit of that. It's going to warm you up into this experience. It's spooky, not scary yet, and you're getting your eyes adjusted and you're trying to figure out, oh, am I outside? Am I inside? It's sort of that kind of blurred lines. So you're going to start by going through the forest of thorns. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs looking at you in the dark. There's going to be a lot of sounds, surround sounds. You don't know where it's coming from. Is that piped in? Is it real? Is it a scare actor? We don't know.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
next, popcorn, Jen Diz.
Oh, man. Okay. So we're outside in the Forest of Thorns. Is that what you called it?
Uh-huh.
Forest of Thorns. Okay. Now, of course, me being a Haunted Mansion fanatic, I feel like maybe the Forest of Thorns ends up leading us into a cemetery. So we're still outdoors. And
Ooh.
we are in a cemetery and we need to find where we need to go. It just looks like a big open cemetery. Where, like, what is going on here? What are we supposed to do? And this is where we're going to bring in some escape room elements. So we are going to start noticing that some of the epitaphs on the gravestones are, maybe leading us in certain directions. Some are as blatantly obvious as an arrow. That'll get us started on realizing what's going on here. And then some of them are written just like we would see at the Haunted Mansion, where they're almost puns, but they
Ooh,
are
uh-huh.
hints of where we need to find. And then as you make your way through the cemetery, you find the grave you've been looking for, and you push the headstone back, and there's stairs going down into the grave. Whoa.
Ooh.
Popcorn Mike.
All right, so down at the bottom, you see just darkness. You don't know how far the staircase goes. So you start to go down, and what's really cool about this scene is there are lanterns on the side that you're meant to grab and carry through the
Ooh, I love that.
rest of the experience. So you get to go down, and it feels like you're going down maybe a couple of stories deep. So at this point, you don't even know anymore. Am I outside? Am I in a building? Am I in the show building? And you just are freaked out, waiting to see what's going to happen next. And then you turn the corner and there's a lot of green lights, like neon green. It's spooky. And then you start to hear the sound and cackle of a scary evil villain, and it's the Horned King. Oh my goodness. What? You see the
What?
scary black cauldron and all the ghouls coming out, and it's going to use the same effects as the Haunted Mansion. You know, those ghosts that go on the scrim when you're going backwards off the roof? It's going to be like that, and they're all coming out of the cauldron, and there's goblins and the Horn King, and you can't get to the next section without walking right past him. And just before you think that you have to go around him, you look to your left, and suddenly popcorn Gentis.
And suddenly your lanterns go out and you can no longer see where you're headed. And all of a sudden, you have to use your other senses because your sense of sight is gone. So
Ooh.
here you have to feel the walls and you can feel that it is cavernous and like a cave. And you're walking through this damp, cold tunnel and trying to find out where you're going into. And you can all of a sudden smell things like burning embers, and you start seeing in the distance like a small little light, maybe that it was like used to have a fire lit but somebody's left the area, and you're like getting closer and trying to figure out what you're walking into, and you turn the corner, and all of a sudden, boom, there's Chernobog on top of Bald Mountain, welcoming you to the new scene and cursing your life. Ah, I can't even think of what classical song is playing when Chernobog is there, but let's hear it right now.
I think
It's
it's
gonna be happening,
Tchaikovsky's something. Yeah.
right?
Ooh.
Um, as soon as you're done, calming down from realizing Chernobog himself is right in front of you, he spreads his wings out and points you in your next direction. And Popcorn Mike.
Ooh. And I must say, as I'm going through this scene, I am so impressed with the live actor that is playing Chernobog because he is ripped, six pack and chest, and I'm here for it. And you guys are telling me to keep going. You got to keep going. So Chernobog is pointing, and suddenly we're going through the mountains and caverns deeper and deeper, but it gets colder and colder. And all of a sudden it's
Oh,
colder.
uh-oh.
There's snow, and all of a sudden, it is Harold, the Matterhorn, abominable snowman,
Ah!
red eyes and all, and he's very scary. And next to him is the version that Stuart is scared of. So you get that version of the snowman from the Santa claymation, and then you also get the smelly Yeti from Expedition Everest, and they are all there. It's the
All
full
40 feet of
gang
him?
all 40 feet. He's not disco yet. He's actually working now and he's clawing at you. And you have to run through. And there's all these things hanging from the ceiling, like wet
Ooh, I
leather
hate
belts that you have to
that.
crawl through to get to the other side. And finally, you see light and you're on your way out of this cold mountain cavern, walking into popcorn, Gendis.
Oh, okay. So now we've walked out of this cavern and we're now in a dark, um, like there's light, like maybe it's dusk looking, but there's a ton of fog and we're in a forest and we realize there's pumpkins everywhere. So we are
Ooh.
outdoors in what looks like a pumpkin patch, but we can tell it's not of this time. It's from a long time ago. And all of a sudden, we have our first encounter with a character actor. It is Ichabod Crane himself
Ooh.
coming over and trying to study with us within his books that he is always has crammed in his face. And we are so distracted because the surroundings are terrifying, and Ichabod is so oblivious to what's going on. And just when we are finally getting engaged with his conversation, the not Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman comes running through the scene and throws a pumpkin right at Ichabod's feet, and we all scream and run through the rest of the pumpkin patch. And Popcorn Mike.
Oh my gosh. And as you're running through the flames of the broken pumpkin and fire, it's all flames and it's hot and it's smoky. And then you all of a sudden hear dong,
Uh-oh.
Dong. And you realize you're now inside of a French cathedral.
Oh
And in
no, not Hellfire.
and in front of you is Frollo from Hunchback of
No.
Notre Dame. And you have this another character, and he's singing Hellfire, Dark Fire. And there's all kinds of cool like shadows and flames and scary religious looking crosses and things, and you just have to run through it because you know if you stay any longer you're going to burn up in his hellfire grip. And so you open the big giant wooden doors to escape from the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and you're out, and now you see a nice looking town. Popcorn Gend is.
Oh, a nice looking town. So this is where things kind of take a turn. We are in France after all, and all of a sudden we see Belle come through, and it gives us
Ooh.
this like false sense of safety and comfort, right? Because we're still in this weird, creepy atmosphere, but then Belle's there, so everything must be okay, right? Well, it's not, because here comes the beast, and he is rabid, and he is not the loving beast that we
Oh
know and love from
no!
the films. He is this twisted Disneyholics version of the beast, and he is chasing Belle through the town as everyone's yelling out the windows, bonjour, before seeing the beast where they slam their shutters closed.
Scary.
The only way to avoid this is to hide inside a home that you find on a little hill on the side where you meet crazy old Maurice and Popcorn
Crazy
Mike.
old Maurice. So Maurice tells you, you got to go now. You got to go now. It's not safe here. And so he walks you over to what looks like a door. It's almost giving Monsters Inc. door. You're wondering,
Whoa.
where does this go? Where is he leading me? But I have to trust him because it's a full moon out and the beast is in werewolf mode and he's chasing us. And so he opens the door and suddenly you're in this colorful room and you hear wonderful piano music. Da 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 da, and you feel like, oh, finally, we're at the end. It's safe. It looks like I'm in a child's room. Everything's great until you realize you're in Sid's toy torture room.
Oh
Bum bum
no.
bum. And he thinks you're a toy that has come through the door. And then he is pushing you and shoving you under the bed with all these creepy half dolls and spider things. And you're now trapped under the bed, and he's locked you in. Zoop. He closes the door just like Leatherface does in Chainsaw Massacre. And now you're stuck in this room with your group of friends. Popcorn.
Ooh, okay. So this is where another escape room element happens. We partner up with the other toys that have been trapped under Sid's bed, and we figure out that all of a sudden we can find a way out from under the bed. You know, everyone knows there's monsters under the bed, so why are we going down this route? But we are doing it because it is our only option. And we now have a large team. We have our group of friends that we're with and the newly added toy group of friends that we just made. And we are going to escape from under the bed. And this leads us to, hmm. Oh my gosh, where can this lead us to? This will lead us, ah, this is going to lead us down a spiral staircase in a castle-like spiral staircase. So you're walking down this tight, spirally stone staircase, and you end up in the evil queen's lair. And you are now in a scene similar to what you would see on Snow White's Enchanted Wish, with the big mirror on the wall, and you see the evil queen there, and Popcorn Mike.
And there's potions everywhere. And some of them look like you're meant to drink them. So we ask each other, are we supposed to drink these? What do we do? Is this a dead end? And just before you can answer your own question, the evil queen comes out and says, "You must drink a potion to continue on and to escape this nightmare. Choose the right potion." And luckily, they make it pretty obvious so you know which one you're supposed to drink. And we each take a sip of it. And suddenly the magic mirror starts to swirl and it opens up a portal. And on the other side of the
Oh.
portal, you see Sleeping Beauty's castle. You see Disneyland. And it looks like, oh my gosh, we're finally safe. And you walk through, and then you see the back of Mickey Mouse. And you're so excited that this is all coming to a happy ending until Mickey turns around and he's runaway brain version of Mickey, and he has the
Ooh.
sharp teeth, and he's running, 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 and he's scaring you, and you're in front of the partner statue, and then popcorn, Jen Diz.
And then the ultimate villain of all comes out. It's Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. He comes out,
Ooh.
and Mickey is under his whatever zombies are under. What's the word I'm looking for? He is
Curse or
sick.
disease
I
or
don't know. Yeah.
virus. Yeah.
And so Mickey's no help. He's just scaring us as well. But we find some magical paintbrushes. And luckily, we did play Epic Mickey at some point. And now all of a sudden, we get
Ooh.
to live this in real life. Our new goal in this area of the hunt is to bring color back to Disneyland and help Mickey return to his classic style. So we get to take these paintbrushes and run around this scene, avoiding any contact with both Mickey and Oswald as we do so. And we have to get every corner of this room repainted to be in its original state. And then we bring everything back to a nice, beautiful, happy Disneyland. And we get to then sit down on the ground in front of the castle and watch the fireworks go off.
Oh, what a great
Yeah.
finale to
Right?
have the fireworks. And then after the fireworks end, all the characters come out, all the fun, happy characters, Mickey and friends and everyone. And then they walk you through the over the drawbridge, and your experience comes to a happy ending.
I always love a good happy ending, right? I mean, come
Oh,
on.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Wow, I want to go to this. I would pay hundreds of dollars for this experience. Disney Lightning Lane premiere for this Disneyholics hunt
Right.
would be
Lightning
amazing.
Lane premiere.
How
Oh my
fun. I
gosh, that
think
was
we've
so
tapped into
fun.
something. They need to figure out. I like the way Stuart said there's a family friendly and a scary version. They could
Yeah,
do something like this. They should experiment. I would be here for it.
they should. Maybe they can do like, so you know, in like Hong Kong Disneyland, they have like haunts that you can do behind
Oh,
Main
yeah.
Street. Maybe they can do that during the regular day is like the family friendly versions, and then the special event at night is the scary version.
Yeah.
Come
Imagine
on, Disney, hire us.
if the Oogie Boogie Bash stages were all incorporated into a larger haunt and you had to go through between each one.
Right.
That'd be cool.
So fun. Ah, thank you for doing that with me. I feel like
Woo.
excited now. And now I'm just gonna let myself down. But we do have amazing things we can do in real life, like
Yes.
Grimm's Hollow, the Pirate's Abyss. And once again, thank you, Stuart, for joining us on the show. We got to talk all about Grimm's Hollow, have a new amazing guest on the show, and then of course we did our own Disneyholics haunt.
Well, thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed episode 212 of the Disneyholic Show.
Follow us on social media at the Disneyholics.
And if you want to get in touch, send us a DM on Instagram or contact us at thedisneyholics.com.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.